Testing 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. Week 4. Welcome, everyone. We've had a beautiful first few weeks, and you have got started on your assessment already. I want to go over a few housekeeping items before we go into the new content for this week. And for many of you, if you are watching the videos before coming to class, which my top students last year always did that, then you will find that some of the stuff I'm covering is, oh, I've already covered that in the video. Surprise, surprise. So we have our week 4 lesson plan. Number 1 is your attendance. Online, we have Dr. Shamini, who is our sessional for this unit, and she will be monitoring our online students in terms of participation, but also available. Online, you have to have your video on. Otherwise, you will not get the presentation marks for each week. Number 2, attendance in class. Yes, you do come, but have your name card out there. Have you not got a name card? Then maybe you haven't picked it up from this list here. So please flick through that if you weren't here in the first week when we handed it out. So, okay, so keep that in mind. Assessment. I want to go over very quickly, up until now, you have a RFQ exercise. Is that right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
RFQ, all right, request for quotation. It's due next Wednesday. Hopefully most of you are at the tail end of it. My job is not to score you badly. My job is to score you all well on this exercise, because most importantly is that you learn by going through the exercise. Okay. So before we go any further, do you have any questions on the RFQ exercise? Are there any questions on that? Okay, there were some questions during the week associated with the freight forwarder quotation. My answer was that you had to get that independent of the supplier, even if the supplier already gave you something to that effect. Okay, so because I want you to go through that learning process. And if you still weren't sure, I supplied a link in our WhatsApp group of various freight forwarders. And you could even go to a platform, which is the Alibaba of freight forwarders, that is Freightio, and go there, and they've got over 40 freight forwarders you can choose from. All right, so it is not a difficult task, but by going through that, if you were to apply for a procurement team, you apply for a job in supply chain, at least you know some of these steps in the job interview. Okay, knowing the theory of supply chain does not help you in the job interview. Okay, but knowing what an RFQ is, knowing what freight forwarding quotation is. Okay, we don't need to spend time going over the total detail, but at least you've had that experience to get a freight forwarder's quotation. Okay, good. If you paid close attention, I want to talk about the assessment, and that is the next project, and that is the factory visit, the factory case study, right? Okay, and we're going to give you a bit more information on that tonight as I actually show you some examples of what you should be looking for in the factories that are assigned to your group. Now, put your hand up if you are settled in your group. You are settled, you are happy, and you've already had 1 or 2 meetings with your group. Put your hand up. If you have not had 1 or 2 or 3 meetings already, don't put your hand up. All right? Because I tell you, my top students last year, they'd already had meetings with their group, several. If any of you are worried about which group you're in, tonight is the time to change your group. Okay? No need, don't come to me in 6 weeks' time and complaining about one of the group members. Oh, they're so busy, they're not meeting when we want to meet. Or every time we meet, there are 4 of us, there's only 3 of us meeting all the time. Can you not give marks to this other group? That's your problem. So solve that tonight. If you have any reservation about who you're grouping with, then change it. Okay? Change it. Right? And another outlet I have for you is you don't have to have the same group for the major project as the group you're having for the factory visit project. So if things go south for you in the factory case study, in your group, you realize how bad one of the group members are. You don't know now, but then you find out, then change your group for the major project. Okay? All right? Students last year didn't have that option. And they told me, I think you should have that option. Okay? So I give you that option now. Okay? All right? So you have freedom to change. So choose wisely. Major projects. All of you, I'll be expecting you to start to write in areas in which you want to do your major project in that spreadsheet. Okay. Now, the only reason why I'd think that you haven't put in an area is because you're not sure that that is the group you want to be in. All right. Okay. You've got your group for the factory case study, but you're not sure for the group project. Well, then that's why you've got to figure things out. Okay. All right. How many of you are familiar with logistics? Hands up. Okay, 1, 2, couple of you. Good. Actually, you're getting more familiar with logistics because for your assignment, when you have to get a freight forwarder quotation, that's part of the logistics process. All right. So now you know a bit of the logistics process. All right. A freight forwarder quotation. Wow. Okay. All right. So please, you don't need to read a thick book to understand what logistics is. All right. Okay. Logistics about getting something from A to B. And of course, there's added complications if A is one country and B is another country. There's added complications if the mode in which you're getting from A to B is partly ship, and then it's got to go onto a rail, and then it's got to go onto a truck. And then you've got intermodal, multimodal, single modal. You can get all that complication while I learn about logistics. But for now, I've got an opportunity for any group that's interested in logistics to work with a Singapore startup called LogChain. And I'm meeting with the founder and CEO tomorrow afternoon. And he's interested, if a group is interested in working with them on a project, you need to contact me. Okay, pronto. Okay, LogChain, you can look it up. Okay, they're all about securing the data and information side of logistics supply chains. Okay, using blockchain technology, things like that. Right, so contact me. I'm throwing ideas at you. Another idea, and I think I gave you examples and links to, was looking at the series of videos in different topic areas put on by the Global Supply Chain Council. Okay, now I love these pens, so I've got to do writing, right? Put on by the Global Supply Chain Council. Okay, they have 15 seminars online each year. I'm a member of that, so then I access that. So what I have done, just for learning purposes, is I've downloaded a series of videos. There's a series of videos on procurement. There's a series of videos on logistics. There's a series of videos on sustainability. Okay, there's a series of videos on technology and supply chains. It's possible you can do a project where you actually focus on watching those videos and then summarizing and bringing that content to what does that mean for how supply chains go forward in any of these areas. Okay, so the content is not your normal Google. Your content is not your normal library. Your content are real presentations given by one of the 800 executives that form the Global Supply Chain Council in this region. By the way, if you're really interested in a career in supply chains, then it would be good to be connected with these people, okay? The connections will get you your job. Remember, this unit, something that I do remind students about, this unit is like a job interview, okay? What do you mean? Well, a couple of things. Number one, I'm watching you. all right? And any one of you, and this happens every year, will come to me in December. Oh, come in. Oh, Dr. O'Connor. I remember you. Okay. Yeah, you were very participative in the unit. And you tried so hard and you brought everyone together. And how can I help you? Look, I've got this opportunity for a job interview. I'm just wondering if you put your name down as a recommendation. Oh, sure, no problem. Okay, because I remember that student, and that student brought value to the class. It wasn't a student that came into the class and actually took value away. All right. So one of my students got a job with Carsum. Carsum is one of the largest online car trading companies in Malaysia. And I remember she asked me, can I put my name down as recommended? And then when she went for the job interview, she passed that, but they want to speak to the referee. One of them was me. And I remember the CEO talking to me for about 30 to 40 minutes one day about their selection, because they were so clear about who they wanted and who they didn't want. Okay. So if you want me in your corner, this is your job interview time. You're with me here. All right. So look beyond scoring. It's not about getting the best marks in the unit. It's about, you think you're in a job interview situation, it starts today. Or if you love international business, then you've got to treat that like a job interview. Or if you love finance, then you treat that unit like your job interview. All right. And so you don't get so stressed up about, scoring the best all the time. But it's all about trying to learn the most you can and contribute the most you can. Okay. And then you have fun. Okay. We have fun on that one. All right. And just for your information, and how many of you are in the WhatsApp group? Are you all in the WhatsApp group? If you're not, make sure you're in it. I always wonder if there's 35 in the unit, but there's only 34 in the WhatsApp group. So I don't have time to check who's in and who's not in. So please, if your friend is not in, please make sure you're all in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So we help you. All right. So we talked about the 3 big assessment tasks, the RFQ. We talked about factory case study, more about that tonight as I do the presentation. And then some ideas here for your major project. Okay, very authentic, because these presentations are less than 6 months old. Okay, and they're given by executives, not academics. You don't want to listen to academics, out of date. All right, maybe I am too, but all right, executives. All right, good fun. Okay, how have we got to where we are today? Well, let's have a look. Okay, prior lesson recap. You know that we started macro and then we're going to micro. How do you know that? Because last week we did see the first glimpse of what does the supplier think about. And I threw a lot of data at you. All right, you had to look at data. Here's the challenge, how they respond. And the big takeaway last week was that, be careful about what pressure you put suppliers under. All right, because there's one thing that will not work in your favor, and that is following. Some of you like theory. Here's a theory concept: information. And A, what does A stand for? Participation. Information A. I'll explain it. There's you. There's the supplier. Okay, you know this much about the supplier, but this is how much the supplier knows. In other words, there's a gap. There's an information gap between what you know about the supplier and what you should know about the supplier. And we looked at that last week because we showed you that if the supplier's under cost pressure, yes, they might outsource secretly without telling you. They might go and buy axles from the competitor and pay marginal cost and put into the car, right? They might put extra lead paint into your product that is banned because it's cheaper. And you cannot see that, right? So what do we call that theoretically? What do we call that?
Information asymmetry.
Yes. Oh, this came out of nowhere. Love it. I love it. If I can, asymmetry. Let me just use it in a short word, asymmetry, right? Information asymmetry. So information AIS, they call it, right? Because of information asymmetry, that's why I showed you last week. You put pressure on the supplier and that pressure may not work out in your favor, all right? Because they might do something without you knowing. Secretly outsource. Put cheap materials in without telling you, all right? That's what you learned last week. You started to realize, oh, wow, this is a tricky business. It's a tricky business, all right? Yeah, so that's what the three-circle control framework is about, okay? And we're going to spend the next 3 weeks on that to understand, okay, so how do we approach the supplier's relationship? How do we contract for it? And how do we do the final control? You know, step 1, step 2, step 3. That's what we'll be doing in the coming weeks. And you all saw my video in the trade show, structuring a relationship, due diligence, measurement, and verification. Tonight, we're talking about structuring the relationship. And I was very privileged to actually speak at this trade show. Now, you saw this video, right? Put your hand up if you saw this video. Okay, good. All right. And the point I want to make here is, you probably think I only go to visit electronics factories. I am speaking to apparel and footwear buyers. Nothing to do with electronics. But still, the same principles apply. The same ideas apply. All right? I didn't have to get into the technical details of their product because I was talking about things you need to be aware of when you're working with your supplier. Okay? So this is not just an electronics idea that we're talking about here. And why I show you this, and I can put, yeah, the volume is there, but I show you that, and I show you my introduction because these events are real. And when you have 200 buyers come to listen to someone on the stage, the last thing they want to listen to is some academic dribble, okay? They want clear takeaways, okay? What can you teach me that will save me money, okay? That will save my time, right? And that's what we were focusing on. And yeah, really, just on a side note, this was in November 18, before the pandemic. Yeah, I could go back and actually give a very similar talk today. It's the same principles apply, right? But on a side note, I did this on a Friday morning. On a Friday afternoon, I went to an academic conference and gave a presentation of an academic paper to a group of academics. So not many people can present to industry in the morning and then academics in the afternoon. So that was fun. That was Amazing. So setting the scenes for the negotiation. Here are two of my favorite videos. So this lady here in the green glasses, her name is Patience. Yeah. And what is very exciting about these videos is that you can buy this headphone, really, really good, $6.50 FOB. That's free on board, okay, not EXW. Whereas the headphones from this company here, Ioni, you're paying 25 all the way up to $38 per unit FOB, and then you've got to order a minimum of 1,000 units. $38,000 just drop down just to get an order going. Okay, whereas here, 1,000, $6,500. Okay, so which one would you buy to put on Amazon or put on Lazada? Which one? Hands up for this one. Okay, all right. Hands up for this one from Ioni. Come on, you've got to make a choice. I'll ask you again. Suyin, you're making notes of who's participating. Good. All right. Hands up for this one. All right. Hands up for this one. Okay, so why would you choose this one? What are you thinking about when you choose the $6.50 one?
Lower upfront cost.
Low, okay, lower upfront, lower commitment. So lower loss, right? Lower risk.
Yes.
Is that the reason why? Are there any other reasons why you choose the $6.50 one?
And it's easier to sell.
So now you're talking about international marketing, right? Now you're talking about marketing, right? Am I right? Are you studying marketing in MIB?
Yeah.
All right. So that's a marketing thing, right? Who's your marketing professor? You're not sure. They don't know who their marketing professor. Okay. So that's not my domain. All right. But if that's a reason, then you need to know your marketing, because you know Lazada, you know your customer, and you know your customers will buy this product and they won't buy this product.
Depends.
All right. Depending on who you're targeting. Okay. So what if you want to sell this product? What if you believe that this product was yours? So we're talking about marketing now. We're not talking about the supplier, right? All right. I'm not asking you about whether this supplier is better than this one. We're just talking about marketing. So ultimately, yes, you have to market what you source. All right. You do have to market. You do have to sell what you source. You cannot just source and make the supplier feel good, and you've got all this inventory and you can't sell it. What's the good of that? That's not a business model. So you have to have your own business model that starts with your own marketing idea. All right. Are you going to be a low-cost product? Are you going to be a high? You with me here? Or are you going to sell to, are you going to sell it to a developing country where the purchasing power is lower, or are you going to sell it to a rich country where the purchasing power is higher? Okay, that's international marketing too. Okay, your strategy for Southeast Asia is different from your strategy for Australia, for USA, for Europe. Okay, so this unit is not about the marketing side, but we're assuming that once you start to source something, you have some idea about your marketing strategy. Okay, all right, it's all connected. I cannot just teach you a unit and say, oh, don't think about that. You just need to think about the supply you're sourcing from. No, it has to all connect. It all has to be aligned. Okay, so that's why when I actually talk to buyers and I show them this, they're thinking, well, sorry, when I see the supplier, don't just show me the product. I said, no, you need to know where you're positioning your product first. Why? Because let's have a look at those two factories. So we've got the cheap one on the right side, or you ask me. There's your $6.50 one, and Patience is still there. Look, green glasses. All right, same person. All right, and here's our $28 to $38. Okay, all right. Are the factories the same? Are the suppliers the same?
Yeah, it's clean. One is a clean room kind of setup. The one on the right is a clean room setup.
There's a clean room. Okay, number one, clean room. You have to go in. They're trying to keep out the dust.
Systematic approach.
Yes.
It
What
looks
else?
more organized.
Sorry.
It looks more organized.
Which one?
The one on the right corner.
This one here. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And you guys are avoiding the dust free. I mean, on the right, you guys actually change into a suit. Like on the other one, you can just wear whatever.
Yeah,
And what are these big funnels?
Air compressors.
Yeah. And so what are they for?
To ensure that no dust gets into the headphones, because that might distort the quality of the delivery.
That plus also this is also the S in the ESG, right?
Yes, social.
Environmental, social governance. All right. The S is social, the conditions of the workers. And so they're doing soldering, so the fumes of the solder don't go into their nose, they breathe it in, it's actually sucked away with these two.
They are wearing proper PPEs. As compared to the left, they
So-
have the hat.
Correct.
They have full.
And you'll notice here in more detail that there's a lot of wastage here. A lot of wastage. All right. Now, these are some of the things when you're doing your factory case study presentation, you have to bring out these comparisons, whatever factories you've been assigned for your group. Okay, so it's nothing short, it's just short of taking you to a factory yourself. I'm bringing the video to you, and then you work on that video and screenshot different parts to show. It's interesting. I've been to the Aoni. I went there 18 months before when I visited here back in 2019, late 18. And the second time I went there, they said, "Oh, sorry, no video this time." And I said, No, I'm the professor. I go to factories and I only do videos. And they said, "Okay, I'll go talk to my manager." And they came back and said, "Okay, you can come in, but you can do videos, but we will tell you where you can go." I said, "That's fine. I'm not going to go all the way 2 hours from Hong Kong to this factory and be told I cannot do a video." All right, because that's what I was always doing when I was going to the factories. So, all right, so you can see that. But let me ask you again. So this factory doesn't have all of those conditions that this factory has, but could you still buy from this factory and then make money selling on Amazon?
Yes.
Yes, you can. All right. So just because a supplier looks bad, it doesn't mean it's a bad business case. All right. You've got to look at what you can sell and how much you can sell it for. Right. So what you're going to learn tonight is you need to think about, all right, what's the risk from buying from this supplier?
Okay, let's say if your company is in a direction where you are very conscious of ESG perspectives, that one will violate everything that you're going against, everything that you're supporting. And let's say if your customers find out, it would change the relationship that your customers have with you as a company.
Okay. Yeah, that's possible. And what else?
You lose your brand reputation.
Pardon?
You lose your brand reputation because the longevity of the products, obviously the one will not last as long as the one on the right because with all the steps taken. So the one product on the right have like some product guarantee, or
Yeah.
the other one is would be an inferior goods as compared to one on the right.
Product quality.
Okay, reputation, you got your reputation risk that both of you have just mentioned. This is good. But if you're just a Amazon power seller, the like single business, single person, then you're small. It doesn't matter so much. It doesn't matter because people will. It's not for you. It's not for you to defend. If you're big, then this matters. If you're small, then it doesn't matter so much. Okay. Sorry. It always matters, but I'm saying being caught and being held accountable will not really happen if you're small. But if you're big, then that's something you need to pay a lot of attention to. Yes.
The probability for the relationship between the supplier and the buyer,
Right.
the relationship risk is going to be there, because even in Apple, like you can get a faulty device.
Yes.
So what about this $650? The what do you say? The more chances are there to get a faulty device, and it can ruin the relationship. So that risk we have to take as a.
So how do you that's a good question about you get a faulty device if with this other one. So how do you manage that risk?
How do I manage the risk?
How do you manage that risk that you'll get a faulty device?
Maybe I can talk their warranty, and then freight forwarders, that one who's going to bring in our stuff, we can talk to them, ask them for pictures.
But now you're getting into this area of the 3-circle control framework. Okay, and that's what we're going to learn in week after next. That there's ways. At the moment, we're at the supplier selection. Should we actually select from that supplier? Okay, we've selected it. Does that mean we cannot manage the risk?
No.
We can. We can still manage the risk even if we select a cheap supplier, and it looks really bad when we go and see the factory. All right. So for example, and what you're going to learn when we talk about audits is you can actually just pay more and have 3 times the amount of audits on your product.
Yeah, so Dr. Neil, one thing I noticed between the two was that for the cheap one,
Yeah.
they very clearly showed you that they have the skills and the knowledge to the CAD. They were doing some CAD/CAM drawings, which I have not seen in any of your other videos so far. Where they can actually customize, or they can design it. Yeah. So
Right.
It's not a stolen design, but it implies that they may have done something in-house and developed a particular product.
They can show a lot on the computer, and usually maybe there's one design person, but when it comes to assembly, it can be, there's a lot of variance across factories. All right, so anyway, part of that demonstration is just to get you motivated for your factory case study presentation, because your job in your factory case study presentation is to profile, compare 2 factories, and then you show different parts. Then after 10 minutes, you hand it over to the class, and then you debate with the class about which factory we should order from. Okay, so I think we'll have fun with that. Now, just following on, we're still, by the way, those online, just note, we're still on the first circle. Okay, first circle is basically selecting, negotiating with the supplier. The biggest thing that buyers do not do is they fail to set up a spreadsheet where they compare supplier 1, supplier 2, supplier 3. So what do we mean by that? I just want to show you. I hope I can pull it up very quickly so I'm not waste your time. But I'll pull it up after the break. But what I'm going to show you after the break is about 30 suppliers that we got quotes on PPE from. And then I'll ask you in your groups to work out, okay, which 3 suppliers would you choose? We're going to do the same with your RFQ anyway, but we're going to do it with the PPE tonight. So that should be a fun exercise. But this is what we're doing. We put it in side by side. And once you have side by side, what you're going to learn is that, well, you better be sure that all the rows are the same. Remember, some of you asked me, or you questioned me on your PowerPoint, you said 128 gigabyte, but in another document, 256 gigabyte, right, memory for the tablet, right? Okay, so I meant to mean 256. So what if this one was 128 and this one was 256? It's a bit hard to compare, because then you've got to make adjustments for other things, pricing and other things, features. You've got to compare apples to apples. And so you better set up your RFQ, because in the real world, you're going to get RFQ from more than one supplier. So you make sure you ask all your suppliers the exact same specifications you want an RFQ for. You don't just say, oh, can you give minimum specifications, then suppliers are going to give you different response. And then you can't compare them. All right. So I never asked you to get an RFQ for more than one supplier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking after you. I'm not pushing you too hard. All right. But really, you should be getting it from 3, and then you do a comparison. All right. And if you're going to do that, you need apples to apples comparison. Okay. How are we online soon? Shamini, are we okay?
Yes, sir. All okay.
Yes,
Okay.
fine.
Okay, good. Any questions? Just while you're thinking. And so, you know, this is a tablet. So I had to go into the trade show and actually get quotes in a trade show. And there's an example of comparing manufacturer 1, 2, and 3 with the tablets. So what's the best way of checking the battery limit in a tablet?
An aging test.
Pardon?
An aging test.
Yeah.
So you run it until it dies. It dies.
Yeah. So yeah. So I know I know what you're saying, but what do you tell a layman to do?
Run some process, a fixed process, over and over until it dies. And then you measure the time it takes.
Yeah, but a person in the street, what do you tell them to do when you say you run it? Well, what do you mean? You just turn it on and leave it there?
Open YouTube, run a video for maybe as long as you can, and then just take a video of it. That's it.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, or run Netflix, a movie that will go for 3 or 4 hours or something. So you know it's going to die before the end, and then put it under a pillow so you don't have to listen to it for that long. But you turn the volume up loud, and then just find out how long can the battery last for. Sorry, there's no shortcut on that one, unless you're a material science engineer and you pull apart the battery and test that separately and all that sort of stuff. Okay, good. All right, so we're doing very well when it comes to this first circle, where we're trying to select which manufacturer you want to source from. Okay. So the big thing about the first circle is about structuring, that is having questions. Because the last thing you want to go into a negotiation is with, number one, you won't be nervous. You know, when you think about negotiation, you always think about, oh, I need to win. I need to come away from it not disappointed, or there's all these negotiations. A funny thing. If you just listen to the Harvard Business School approach to negotiation, it's all about how do we win, okay? How do we steamroll our client, all right? But that's not, you don't do that in sourcing, because these are not one-shot deals, all right? If you get a good supply, you want to have a reorder and then another reorder. Okay, you're not going to make business, you're not going to be sustainable in business or sourcing if you think that, oh, we get the cheapest supplier this month, or next month we'll go get a cheaper one somewhere else. That's not the way to do your sourcing. That's not best practice. All right, so how many of you have sourced knives? I think next year I'll get every one of you to get RFQ on knives. That'll be interesting.
Great idea.
And then the question, you're not allowed to bring it into the classroom. Then the question is it straight edge, serrated edge, ceramic? You know, steel? What type of knife are we talking about? Well, what do you do? You go and talk to a knife inspector, and that's what this guy is. He's a knife inspector. What does he do? Well, your knife, you can say, you're sourcing 2,000 knives, right? Serrated edge, and say, okay, a sample of knives will be tested in the TUV labs or another lab that's nearby the supplier. And when it goes to that lab, then if it's a serrated edge, then they're going to do 200 cycles and they expect that knife to cut through 150 centimeters. And if it's straight edge, then they've got to be able to cut through 60 centimeters in 60 cycles, 15 centimeters. And here's something that buyers forget. They think that, oh, this guy here, oh, he's just a third party. I don't need to know him. Oh, he's just an inspector. I don't need to know that person because my relationship is with the supplier. What's wrong with that? Anything wrong with that?
Join force with the supplier and lie to you.
That's possible. But this is an inspection company. This is a lab. This is a lab.
In a sense, you need the inspection company to give you a standard where the company needs to hit in order to provide you with knives that are of that standard.
Okay. Anything else?
Actually, I was thinking something similar as well. I mean, you need to know what to benchmark against, so they can give you a guide on what to benchmark.
So who's going to give you the benchmark? The inspector or the supplier?
The inspector
Someone else?
gives you the standards that the company, the producer needs to follow in order to produce
Right.
the items that you need.
Okay. So you need to have a relationship with the inspector,
Yeah.
not just the supplier. And that's missing from a lot of buyers' to-do lists because they outsource the inspection. And they think that, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Well, you do. Those of you who watched my video showed about this point here. Okay, so what's the point of this part of the video?
Negotiation.
Pardon?
Negotiation.
And what's the big takeaway?
When you negotiate, you get to get more stuff for a lesser price.
Okay, this table. Online, anyone?
I think you need to know why you're paying a bit more compared to the other thing. Like what are you getting? What's the added advantage compared to the other thing that you're having to pay much more?
That's right, because it's not about $1 and $1.20. And if you're at the local market, then you go for the $1 and not the $1.20, right? But when you're sourcing, it's about asking questions. Oh, I understand it's $1, but can you tell me why you can do it cheap, Mr. and Ms. Supplier? You know, why, how can you do it for $1? Because I just want to be sure, because in 3 months' time, I don't want you putting up to $1.20 or $1.30 on a second order because my catalogs have been set on a certain price and I won't be able to change the price for my customers. So you've got to have that conversation with the supplier because it's very easy for a supplier to actually give you a below cost product. So just to get the deal. And then on the second order, oh, I'm sorry, the material prices have gone up. They haven't really, but they just want to put the price up. Okay, so yeah, we're not in a one-shot deal here. So therefore, the Harvard Business School rules of negotiation does not work in the same way. They talk about Bartner, right? The best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So you've got to go into negotiation with an alternative. Yeah, you do that, but you don't force the issue where the objective is to get a cheaper price. The objective is to learn more about the sustainability of the supplier.
Okay, one question. Why
Yes.
can't I turn it around and ask the supplier that's charging 120? Why are you charging me at a premium for the same product that I'm getting for $1 from another supplier? Does that make sense?
Yeah, ask in a nice way.
Yeah. In a nice way.
And then they might tell you, oh, but our costs, look at our costs. Our costs are already $1. Then you realize, oh, that other supplier's lowballing, right? Yeah, you need to go into it with some information about what other suppliers are. Yeah, but you don't use that. Yeah, the point is use a conversation to find out what the business model of the supplier is. Okay, because you want the supplier to make money, because you want the supplier to be around in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. Yes, sir.
So yeah, it was pretty interesting actually. I kind of faced the same situation with my supplier while doing this RFQ. So yeah, like comparatively with other brands and other products, they were giving me cheaper price. So I did ask, like, I'm not going to compromise on the qualities. Is there anything you're sure you're missing, or what else?
Yeah.
What's the price breakdown for? Then we revised on. Then I happen to know that they are not giving me adapters.
Yes.
And yeah, so later on we had to, revise the whole price and retest. So it was interesting.
Oh, wow. You actually went through that on the RFQ.
Yeah.
But normally, like you've gone beyond the expectations of the RFQ assignment, but because in order to do that properly, you'd want to get RFQ a minimum from 3 suppliers so you have some understanding to do that negotiation and not just assume that this is too high a price. But that's a good point. All right. And so long term, in a nutshell, this is a win-lose situation if you're just using price as the objective of the negotiation. Okay. You want to expand the role. That is, you want to think about how can we actually broaden the perspective so the supplier can get something from it. And so then the supplier has an interest, skin in the game, to do right by you on the 2nd order and the 3rd order. And believe you me, there's always going to be a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th order if your product is any good. Okay? You're not ordering 10,000 of those 650 headphones. You're only going to order 500 or 1,000 because sometimes you're testing the market, right? And then you realize, wow, they're flying off like hotcakes. I'll go back and order another 1,000. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Okay, so I did take you through that in the video, and I just want to show you this video here. Suyun, is it coming through okay?
Yep.
All right. And the reason why I show you these is because they have 2 different business models. One of them has a business model of selling to automobile companies, this one here. And so therefore, the only difference of their products between different automobile manufacturers was the software that the manufacturer is asking for. So they had over $1 million of inventory in their factory at any one time, which costs money, 20, 25% of that is the cost of holding that inventory, all right, on average, right? Whereas the business model of this one here, wow, you cannot have that. Look at all that. You got components, you got those ICs just laying around on the floor, no separation, you got dust, no clean room, okay? These are all things for your factory visit. And in here, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know why? What is this company doing? What is their product?
USB.
USB, all right. Yeah, but who are they selling the USBs to?
As free gifts.
Yeah, they're selling them to corporate associations to give away as corporate gifts. So if you get a free USB, do you care about the quality? Or if it doesn't work when you take it home, like, do you make a big deal about it?
Not really.
Because it's free.
You
We give them free.
It doesn't matter, right? So, yeah. So be careful about free gifts you get, all right? Right? But this company has made $3 million a year just selling these USBs to corporate associations. There's no QC. Like, everything wrong about factory is in this video. Okay, so it gets back to a business model. All right, not all suppliers have the same business model. You see, so it's, and so therefore you have to be aware of the supplier's marketing plan. What, you know, what are they, how are they making money? How are they sustainable? All right. So we're nearly just summarizing at the top of the hour and getting back to your factory presentation, because you'll be looking at these factory videos. Put your hand up if you've actually opened up some of those folders with the videos already. Okay, that's good. Excellent. Good. All right. And you know, here's a list of a checklist I made for you. And you saw in my video interviewed by Megla, where I talk about these. And this is in the PowerPoint slide that you all have access to in your Moodle, right? So you can download that and go through that checklist. So when you're going through the videos, just, yeah, look out for that. And some factories are going to be good at some things and bad at others. But that's for you to draw out that contrast when you're presenting as a group, the two factories that have been assigned for you.
Doctor, so in our folder, there was only one factory there.
Pardon?
There was only one factory video.
For which one?
The car audio.
Ah, which week is that? Yeah, I'm looking for the other one to add to it. Actually, that car audio was the one I just described there. Yes. Let me dig up another video to go with that one.
Okay.
But that was a, yeah, that was an interesting one. There's another week where there's one group that got the two hoverboard factories, right? Okay, so therefore your presentation is going to be like this. You have one here and one there, and then you're highlighting, you're contrasting. Okay, so an example of a contrast is this is sort of like receiving inspection. And so what does that mean? Well, you know, in one factory, they've got a machine testing every cell that goes into the 20 cell battery unit that makes up that 4.4 amp hour size battery that goes in every hoverboard. It's very standardized. But this one here, they receive a blue battery pack where it's already packaged and it's got Samsung written on the outside. I don't know if Samsung's in the cells inside. You don't know either. All right. And that's the difference. And they're testing each of these cells before they even put them together. All right. So that's an example of receiving materials inspection. And if what you'll learn from this unit is that, in electronics, the battery is probably the most sensitive part of the whole thing. All right. So you need to pay attention to the battery. Where's the battery coming from? Okay. Where is it coming from?
Okay, can clarify, right? So you mentioned that in the video on the left, they test every single battery cell, right? But
The
does it
cell.
really make sense that you test every battery that's being supplied to you? Or do you just sample test?
Well, the machine does it, so that it's 100%.
Right.
Oh, by the way, number one, this is a very high risk product. Not every product just explodes, right? But you know, back in 2016, 17, there was about 74 house fires around the world just because of hoverboards. But there's batteries in other things that don't explode. They don't. Yeah, laptop, go back, 3 or 4 years before that, Sony and the Dell. But the hoverboard, it was very, very frequent. It was a very poor design. The whole concept is a very strange design. And this factory here, I remember the guy told me they actually put in an electronic sensor into the electronics to actually, it shuts down the hoverboard if the temperature goes over 70 degrees Celsius. And they were trying to say that, well, other manufacturers don't do that. But yeah.
Was that like a reactionary thing that they have done? So because of these cases, that's why they tested. And once the hype dies down, then
no, it's easy. It's easier to test 100%. Why? Because the machine does it. The machine does it. Yeah. I talk to them. I say, aren't you worried about the quality? No, and also at that time, they were banned. This company was the first to get a UL certified to export into the US. This one, they didn't have certification. They said, oh, we don't care because we're selling to France, Europe, UAE. Like there's 200 countries around the world we can sell to. We don't need to sell to the US. So it is what it is. And yeah, and that's what they got. And then they work with that. All right. So the group that's doing the hoverboard, I think you should have lots of fun with the comparisons and the batteries on that. Okay. All right. And car audio manufacturers, smartphone. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Just one more thing, and it's in the list of things to look out for, is separation. If you look here compared to this one here, the two factories, they're two different ones. And you'll see that separation, you know, we're interested in keeping components separated because we don't want migration. Have a look. And, oh. If you look through here, as I walk through the side of the factory, you'll see that all the components are just stacked on top of each other. Whereas here, you've got total separation, everything with foam boards, everything. But look at this. This is just amazing. And like, that's crazy. And then I expect when it's put together, it'll still work, you know? Right? So these are things that you've got to draw out in your presentation with the factories that you are comparing and see for yourself. Okay. If you're very smart, you're doing the car audio.
All of ours.
Pardon?
Yeah, these are ours. This
is yours. Yeah. Well, I'll leave you to draw out this example here where I was able to show how they've got a problem here. And then I took them to different parts of the assembly line where I told them where there's variation and why the problem is occurring. And partly because of they don't have the mold set up for the soldering. So the soldering, they're trying to solder on a product that keeps on rocking. So obviously when you get variation, then you get quality control problems and so forth. But you can draw that out in your presentation. So I'll be interested that you can do that. All right. And you may have seen me, and the example here, you can see there's a problem with the slot for the memory card to go in. How did I find it? Because there's a QC sheet showing where all the problems are occurring. So step one, look at QC sheet. Then step two, show me the product where it's occurring. Step two, that's the product where it's occurring. It's not lined up with the back end of that product. Then step three, show me where they're screwing the front end onto the back end. And so let's go back to where they're screwing that. You watch step three, I'll go and have a look at where we're screwing that. We're going back and we're going back and we're going back and we're finding out, so he's trying to screw the front onto the back and using his hand to hold it. Why not use a mold so it doesn't move when they're doing the screwing? That's how HTC and the Apple processors, they do that. They still have labor in their assembly lines as well. Now, the second one was the soldering side. So I go around the other side. The guy is cross-legged on a little stool, not very comfortable anyway. And then this is rocking as he's trying to do soldering again, right? So these are things that it's not to blast the supplier that this is bad, you shouldn't do this, you're a bad supplier. No, this is an opportunity for you as a buyer to actually help the supplier to improve their processes. If they were to just listen for a little bit, all right? They don't always listen, but this was the advice that I was giving them. Okay, so I hope and if that doesn't work, then when you get into the boardroom, you can actually then give them a little lesson on what am I doing here? You saw this video. What am I doing here? It's your chance for participation. What am I talking about?
Itan.
Huh?
Itan.
No.
Product design.
Pardon?
Product design.
Maybe. Yeah, partly. Anything else? Online?
It's a process.
What's the key word in supply chain management?
Oh.
Sorry, you've already spoken. Let others have a go. What others? Huh?
Time management.
Okay, anything else? This table, very quiet over here.
Timeline.
Timeline. Okay, you watch the video. What are we talking about? What's the key word? It starts with P.
Process flow.
No. P. O.
Progress. Progress. No, it's PR.
T. Come on, post what?
Post delivery.
Come on. Online, anyone online? Come on. This is a key word in supply chain management.
Post office.
All right, key word. Come on, this group. Be quiet here. We've just got one person driving. Come on.
Post production.
Post negotiation.
Post.
Postponement.
Okay. Postponement. That is, you are postponing variation in the product to the latest moment. And because what I was explaining, and great to see all our online crew here. What I was showing them was first of all, the product was earphones, and secondly, they had so many different types, and for the different types, they had different size batteries. And when I was talking about that timeline, you mentioned the timeline, and I was talking about timeline. They had problems because some of the batteries weren't being supplied when they needed them because they had so many different types of batteries. So I said, why don't you try and do your design so you have the one battery for all of your designs. So then you can postpone. You're basically postponing variation in the manufacturing to the latest possible time. And so then that takes out problems of bottlenecks, because if you're earlier on and you've got variation, then that creates bottlenecks as we go down. But if you postpone, that means you keep everything generic right to the last minute, then you change, and that's where you put the casing on or the earphone on, which makes one product different from another. So you put the difference on the product at the very last minute, and then you ship. All right, so you got the same battery. All right, but you make it different at you're postponing the change to the design of the product till the very last minute, and so that enables you to get over bottleneck problems. Okay, so that's the key operations management. Key operations management principle. All right. Principle. Okay. All right. So let's have a break for a moment. When we come back, I will pull up the RFQs on the supplier mask, and then you can tell me which one you'd buy from. What do you think?
Cool.
Okay, break. 10 minutes.
For the the supplier needs to be the manufacturer. The supplier needs to be the manufacturer. Yes. So if
Not an agent.
not an agent.
No more writing.
Why did I show you?
Oh yeah,
fine. For this the one company.
You know, you still need to do the Harvard simulation. I'm not saying a single word, serves you right.
But I mean, the same thing is you have to PCB.
Do your report.
What report?
Simulation.
But yeah.
Ask Abby, she could check it. You can ask me.
So, doctor,
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
no.
saw your name.
Huh?
Saw your name.
Where?
When the lecturer was presenting. Oh, when he was presenting.
Like, how do you grade your?
Or what?
Data. Howard simulation.
Yeah.
What she was showing, I mean, what he was showing.
I think it was like the top scorers or something.
Top score. Come on. Oh, come on.
Now you're just joking. Now you're going to be.
No, I'm just joking. Come on, I'm joking. No, that's the hatch. Oh my god.
Why?
No, because something. Anyway, are you guys going downstairs?
What?
I don't know. No, having pizza. That's okay. I mean, it's free, right?
Are we on?
Yes, go.
Very subjective. Okay, presenting and leading issues in class, leading discussion. Very big on discussion. And in leading, it's all about getting everyone involved. Just be front running. That's
It's very vague.
yes, it is. Yeah. Not easy.
Because I do believe that I've been participating in a sense, but I think I'm being rated like 1 and 2. That's what I'm asking. I'm not really sure.
Oh, you mean last week?
Oh wow.
Pardon?
I've been graded. I like last week was 2. Prior to that was 1.
Oh yeah, I will penalise you if you talk from other people.
Okay, but honestly,
And I did
usually
warn you last week.
Yeah,
And the week before.
the week before, no, last week, yes. But usually when I do that, it's usually because I'm asking something.
No, you're walking around last week. Everyone was doing their group work. And,
Yeah, because I
You
couldn't
weren't-
see the
you
screen.
were coming in with another group. You weren't participating with your own group. Okay.
But at the end of the day, I was the one.
Sorry,
At the end of the day, they got all the answers we need.
it's not about the answer. It's about attitude and working in the class. If you're doing a group work, you work with your group.
Basically, I'm like, this is the thing that we get. Oh, yes. The thing is, I was wondering that there's like. because yeah. I have a question. Say that sugar for this direction. Another article I've read another article that's the holiday that the sugar really the sugar. You think I should?
Tell me how much that cost.
Okay.
I don't know, because I'm not saying no. You don't have you don't have
Oh,
it's like Nestle, you don't produce and market more until your first vibration.
or around 9. Should be not more. This combination everybody knows
I think that yes, you've won with a 4, but I don't think it's the right word for it. Fair, we just penalize without like me on a basis to judge. I'm just kidding. I don't feel it.
Okay.
But I do get your point on the discussion and participate. Why not? That's on.
Only 1 in 10 weeks, so you've got lots of chance to do the best. You can do it.
Nice. Yeah, it's like yours. Where's your leg? What did it say?
It's not 100% yet,
What?
but things is
It's not 100%.
yeah. The crack is slowly patching up. Like
Oh, okay.
so we'll see how for it.
Very good. Traditional.
Okay, let me show you. Go to
Okay.
yes. To bring it like straightforward. I can just do this when I get it straightforward from DHLS. It's all right.
Yeah, as long as it's separate from the supplier.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, I will deal it. I'm dealing it. I already got it. Regular quotation from DHL. Actually, right away from the website you can generate. So yeah, it's okay, right?
It's okay.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, you see.
Cool. I read 2 of my.
Okay, anyway, that's
But would you tell other people how to do it?
I'm sorry.
You know,
I'm sorry. No, I'm just showing, it's so simple actually, this
Tend to be
business
yourself,
entities.
like get a ratio.
Yeah.
You don't need to do-
Facts. Actually, these companies, these entities, they're ready to be used.
They're expensive.
Yeah, like $1,000, 2,000, no, 4,000.
Because like now you see, we are getting it from suppliers, so now we already build a trust with our suppliers from China.
Yeah.
What if suddenly they say, oh, these things are not for them, it's not sold properly, and they are changing the, so what will happen to us? So we have to go and find another supplier. But we already have a trust with this. But they just change because they want to follow okay, let's say now, okay, let's say the supplier is an electronic cable supplier, right? Suddenly they're changing some other things like handphone, let's say smartphone. Yeah. So now we cannot go back to them for electronic cable because they no longer use it. So it happens, right? So what?
You buy it from another supplier.
Like, so it's going to be like from step one.
But it was really, really fun.
Buy a big wedge.
My supply is like literally thinking she's having.
I think the hardest part now at Q is making sure you get the verification of the supply.
So the assessment.
That's the hardest.
Yeah.
Page 2 and page 3. Yeah.
I watched two videos.
Oh, do you need a? Hey, what about you? I didn't see you. You found your manufacturer already? You didn't? Yes. This one you can use. 9 plus.
I'll bring you.
Free what? Free forward.
Okay, I think we need to resume.
We'll talk about.
Yeah.
What we're going to do now in groups, do this just like last week, is if you go to the chat room in the Zoom, you will see the link to the spreadsheet that I'm showing here. So if you go into the chat room, I've given you the link. So we're going to have breakout groups again, and your job is to work. Those online will have breakout groups. We'll have 3, maybe 2 breakout groups, but those in the class, we can do it per table, so that's fine. I don't mind. All right. So your job is to find, okay, which 3 suppliers would you source the masks from? So we're just talking about masks like what I'm wearing. Okay, box, in a box of 50, whatever. So which 3 suppliers would you source the masks from? Remember, first circle is all about getting quotes from several suppliers like RFQ, but then you've got to choose which one would you buy from, right? So this is the information you create when you get a lot, when you get RFQs from a lot of suppliers. So do you all have access to the spreadsheet? Yes.
We'll try it.
I don't know, try to check. I think
The Zoom is the quickest way. In the chat room of Zoom, huh? So for the online, I want to break you in up. Suyun, how many do we have online? Sharifa, how are you?
Thank you.
Good to see you. Miss you in the class. How's it, our online folks? Have you got your video on? Got your video on, online folks? Your video on, it's important that you have your video on so we can see you, because we want you to have a good learning experience here. So if you click on the chat room, that will open up a spreadsheet that will give you access to many quotations for PPE. Now, you know what I mean when we talk about face masks, and now you have your chance to decide which 3 suppliers would you buy from. So for the online, shall we put you into 3 groups? Suyun, can you break out groups? Here we are, breakout rooms. So we'll create 3 breakout rooms. Sign automated. Yeah. So some of the participants here are in the Zoom to get access. They might be in the breakout room, but they'll be doing their group work in the class. So have your video on, so you know the video's on in your breakout room, then that you know who you are. Okay, so I'll give you
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, sir. Sir, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, hello.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but doctor seems can't hear us.
Yeah, I think doctor couldn't. Doctor.
Doctor, we can't hear you.
Hello, hello, sir. Testing one.
Testing, very good.
Sir,
Excellent.
can you hear us?
We can hear you very well,
All right.
very clear.
I have this question,
you.
like for there's these two sections written as the payment term, which is different. Like which one should we follow?
Your question is, if you have different what
Payment term.
payment terms?
Yeah, there's two actually. Like which one should I follow?
Yeah, we didn't choose him because he's
I don't know. It's a multi-dimensional decision you have to decide on.
Oh, okay, all right.
Your job in your group is to come up with, say, the 3 best suppliers that you would source from.
Dr. Neil, I think he meant there's 2 sections that have the same thing that says payment terms. There's 2 lines that says that.
Are they different?
They are, I think.
Oh man, I didn't mean that to happen.
But it happened.
Oh. I know, just choose the one that, all right.
It's line 19 and 45.
Oh, that's because there's 2 groups of quotations. Let me hide.
Yeah, so yeah.
45.
Yep, I think so.
Yep. The reason is that there's a group of, the green is every RFQ, that is row 2 to row 25. Then there's another group of RFQs.
I see. Okay.
From row 28 through to row 51. So in other words, in total, there are, I think there are 32 requests for quotations. Not that you have time to look at all of them, but that's why you see something twice.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is cheaper or this is cheaper? This is cheaper. This one is cheaper than this one? Yeah. Okay. No, I know. Okay. Then we should go for this one instead of this one. No, this is 45. This is number 1. But this is 100%. 100% obligation. But the thing is,
okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the whiteboard now, and from every group, I'm going to ask, before you say anything, write down the 3 suppliers that you have chosen. Okay. Now remember, there's no right or wrong answer, because this is a multi-dimensional decision here. It may depend on your strategy and other things, so that's okay. But I'm going to go to the whiteboard now, and we're going to note down. So maybe if our online participants, do you have, let me just stop sharing for a moment. Okay, good. And view Okay, good, good, good. All right. So can we go with the first group of the online participants? What supplier numbers have you chosen? All right, Liang, your group, what did you choose?
We are choosing J and K.
Oh, sorry, can you give me a number of the supplier's number?
Wait, give me a second.
Supplier's number.
Number 9 and number 10.
Number 9, 10, anyone else? Any else? And the third one?
And the third one will be give me a second. 7.
Liang's group? 7.
7, yeah.
Okay, and all right, and Mia, what about you? Your group.
Yeah, my group, which is like supplier 10, 11, and 16.
10,
10,
10, 11,
and 16.
and 15. Okay, all right. And Kevin, were you in their group or a new group?
Our group wanna choose number 7.
Yes.
Number 9 and number 16.
9 and
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other groups? I think there were 3 groups online, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so let's go around the class. So which 3 did you choose?
31.
Huh?
31.
31.
7. 21.
7, 21. Okay. This is what? 10, 15, 16, and 20. Okay.
So we actually doing KN95 because we know there's only a couple of stuff, right? So
I don't want a reason yet. What numbers did you choose? 10, 16, 20. You copy them.
Supposedly they copy us.
Okay, and then?
We will do 5, 6, and 8.
5, 6, and 8. Okay. C2, 3, 4, and 11, 28, 29. Okay. Okay, so is there any common one among all of you? What's the most common one?
10.
Huh? Is it?
10.
No, it's not.
10.
It's only 3. Only 3 of you. But 7, what about 7? 7, 1, 2, 3, right?
Yes, 7.
7.
Anyone else?
9.
9 is the third.
1, 2, 11.
9. Yeah, 11 and 9 having a draw.
11 and 9. So you got 10 and 7. Wait a minute. 10 is, 10 and 7. And 11 and 9. Okay. So why did you, 16 is, Okay, so what is it about number 10? What is it about number 10 that who chose number 10? Which group? Okay, why? KN95.
Because they are having third party auditor and also FDA.
Yes.
Okay, all right. FDI approval. That's a huge thing, actually. Okay, that's 10. What about 7? Who chose 7? Yep.
Considering number one, they're approved quality tested by Nelson Labs, EN 14683 2019 and C markings. It's FDA approved. They have ready stocks and there is technically no lead time because it's local. Also, even though the cost is a bit higher, it makes more sense considering the figure. At the end of the day.
more than 99%.
Is it KN95 too?
No, it's
No,
3
3
layers.
layer.
3-layer, so different from that one.
3 layers.
Ah, so it's interesting that 10 KN95 and 7 is 3-layer. So it's two different products altogether. Online, any comment on number 9? Lung, your group chose number 9.
Yep.
Kevin, your group chose number 9. Kevin, would you like to go first?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me see.
And just to remind you, the question is, why did you choose 7?
I think
Are we doing 7? No, 9.
nine.
9. Yeah. Why did you choose 9?
Because the FDA is yes, and the third party looks good.
Okay, fine. Kevin, that's fine. That's good. And Lung, why did your group choose 9?
I think one of the first reason is because of the payment. Because considering that we have any working experience with this company, so I think it will be safer for us to not to have the 100% upfronts or any payment first. So the what you call the Alibaba trade assurance is one thing that caught our eyes.
Okay, interesting. All right. So let me ask you a question, everyone online, simple question, and I'll come back to the class. All right. Did you get to look at every one of the 32 supplier quotations?
Almost.
Yes or no? Did you have a proper look at every one of the 32? Sharifa, you look like you could do this, right? Huh?
No, we didn't have time to look at all.
We only.
Why not? What? Because I didn't give you enough time, or what? What's going on?
I think we couldn't, we were trying to decide what were our priorities in terms of what we wanted. Did we want the location to be nearer to Malaysia? Did we want the whole trade assurance thing? Like we took a lot of time just to sort of decide on that first. Yeah.
Okay. So if I can just summarize, one thing is you had to figure out, well, what is your strategy, right? Priority, right? If you don't know what you want as a buyer, then how the heck can you do a good job at figuring out your RFQ, right? All right. So, Jing, any other thoughts from this process? Did you have enough time to look at every one of the 32 suppliers?
I'm the group member from Kevin's one, and we choose the 16, the number 16. Due to hold on, let me check.
That's right. Sorry to interrupt. Just if I can help you, what was the big challenge that you had in looking at all of the suppliers? What was the hardest part?
Oh, actually, we have to decide on the situation. We buy this mask to do for what, and the price, the quality, and the delivery date is what I'm concerned about.
Okay, so good. Okay, price. These are examples. The quality.
The most important is the quality and the situation I will apply for.
Okay, good. Any other comments from online? Shamini, any comment? Did you have time to look at every 32 of the suppliers?
No, not all. I was in the same group as Sharifa. So basically, we first spent a bit of time trying to figure out a strategy, whether we were going to focus on like the cost, or was it going to be like the certifications, and so it took a bit of time for us to first prioritize on what we are exactly looking for. So no, we didn't get to like look at everything, but we sort of like browsed through like different suppliers.
Yeah. So the question is how could I have made this easy for you online? I'll give you two choices. One is I made all the rows the same, or the other one was I give you 1 hour to do it. Which would have been easier for you? If I gave you 1 hour, would you be happy with that, or would you like your information organized differently?
I think the information organized differently might have.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
bit hard to like figure everything out because it seemed a bit like jumbled here and there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go back to the class. What was the big challenges that you faced?
In terms of
Just the process. I gave you 8 minutes and then you had to do something. What was the hardest part?
Know what to prioritize over something.
Yes.
So which one we have to look at it?
Okay.
in a sense, right, because like it's such a big chunk of data,
Yeah.
unless we export it into another file and we tidy it, but like in discussion, it's very hard to have a very big overview in terms of like, okay, what do we want at the end of the day? Because like it's easier for us because we can, in a sense, come to agreement of what we want to see, and then we can filter based on that. But I guess like in an online perspective, it will be different where they cannot seek alignment instantly, whereas we can. So from that, and then it's basically filtering data because like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of time. Yeah.
Okay. Information. Second word. What do it starts with O? Huh?
Overload.
Yeah, overload. Yeah. All right. So good. I'm glad that you got a chance to experience information overload. All right. So be careful when you ask for something. You should control what you want to ask for. No, I think the point of knowing your strategy and priority. Okay, because you're going to get something like 32 different quotations. And yeah, getting a request from quotation is easy. That once you start doing 2, 3, 4, 5, you better make sure that it's all the same coordinates. So then you can do your comparison, right? Yes. And look, you would think, okay, face mask is so simple, but look what you just saw. All right. How do you know? Were they all the same size? 9.5 centimeters by 17.5 centimeters. They weren't all the same size. They weren't all the same quality. They weren't. All right. And then FDA approval. Yes. Oh, how do you test that? FDA approval. Just keep that in mind. Can you? Oh, remember, for your RFQ exercise for page 2 and 3, you need to put in some screenshots of some documents that helps to verify that the supplier is a factory, not an agent. Okay, that's great. If we were sourcing medical PPE or something like masks, then we want FDA approval, especially if we're importing into USA, right? So how do you verify? The supplier says, oh, we have FDA approval, Food Drug Administration in the US. Can you verify that online? Or do you need to hire a lawyer to double check?
I think it should be publicly available. A list should be publicly available.
Yeah, you can actually go online. You can go to the US FDA website and you type in, copy and paste the supplier's name, the business registration name, and it will show up. Okay, so you can do that. So, the internet is amazing for verifying things. Like lawyers will say, oh, you should hire us, we'll do it for you. But that's all they do anyway, right? So there's so many other things that, and even I was asked in the last week on Udemy, I got a course on Udemy, and one of the students asked me, said, well, they're businessmen, asked me, oh, we had a problem with our supplier in the Netherlands. Sorry, we were sourcing from India, we're shipping to the Netherlands, and then the customer received the goods in the Netherlands. They bought a whole swab of stuff. And then the customer said it's bad quality and they're going to sue us. So what do we do? Okay. Wow. So what do you do? Interesting, isn't it? That's next week. That's next week. All right. Remember, this week was more structuring the relationship. Next week is the contract, right? Contracting. All right. And thinking about, okay, what could go wrong? And then what do you do if something goes wrong, right? So, and it's not that we're going to go through all the law aspects of it, but we just be aware of that. We'll cover that next week. So these things are real. Another example is another client I had in the US through our China Sourcing Academy. He was sourcing power boards from the States, from China, and he sold 7,000 of them in the USA. 7,000, okay? Not 700, not 70, 7,000, all right? The power banks, where extension cord, you plug one in, and so then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extension sockets. Okay, so, that's a lot of money that you've invested in. And maybe you go to Lazada, you can buy a power socket. The ones that he was talking about, I think they were about 60, 70 ringgit more. All right. But he was selling them for more in the US. 7,000, he sold 7,000. Then he got contacted by UL, Underwriter Laboratories, which because they found out that the power board had a UL stamp on the back of it that was counterfeit. And it found out that the factory wasn't UL certified for that power board. And so they forced him to recall 7,000. So he had to contact the 7,000 customers. Nearly impossible. Basically impossible to do. Like, if you're an Amazon power seller. Okay, so these things are real when you think about, if you talk about certification, what does the product need to be certified by so you don't get into that trouble? All right, so that's amazing. All right, so let's just close up. What we've got here is no one group came up with the same answer. Okay, strategy is a priority. The strategy, you need to figure it out. Is it price, is it quality, is it delivery? In some ways, they always think in terms of quality. There is the price, and then there's time. You can have two, but you can't have three. In other words, you can have a good price and good quality, but you need to wait 2 months, all right? Or you want it tomorrow and you want cheap price, but it's not going to be good quality. Or the other way around is good quality, you want it tomorrow, but you're going to have to pay 3 times the price. That's a traditional thing. That's a traditional thing for the 3, okay? All right. Everyone, put your thumbs up, and then turn back to our security guy at the back, our technician. Thank you. All right. Okay. So price, time, and quality. All right. So all good. All right. You can have 2, but you can't have 3, and that's the big challenge. All right. And the other big thing you learned from that exercise, information overload. So keep that in mind before you go and get multiple requests for quotation. It's apples to apples comparison. How's that? Online? How's it good? Can we have thumbs up? Okay. Excellent. Great. Man, we're getting better every week with our technical stuff. It's working. All right. That basically finishes the new stuff we want to cover tonight. And we're going to play Kahoot now. All right. Got Kahoot. All right. Online, ready for the Kahoot? You're at Kahoot, remember. So we'll get the Kahoot going. And then after that, there's time if some groups and talk to if you've got questions about your assignment, things like that. I'll hang around for that. All right. So happy to help. Okay. Let me find the Kahoot. Let's.
How come we know and then we supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we do.
I'm sorry that I'm
Sorry, that was good. We'll see today. If you if something happens.
Okay. It's discover library. Supply chain. And we got to week 3, week 4, supply negotiation. Start. Classic mode. Eight 744 online. Are you ready, ski daddies? Are you ready? Okay, this is great. This is the best part of the class, just the Kahoot. And eight 744. You're using your phone for Kahoot? Does it work faster? Faster. Okay. We'll have to play a group Kahoot one night. Have the groups against each other. All right, we have 31 in the Kahoot. Is everyone in? Everyone online in? Soon, everyone in? Shamini, are you in?
Yes.
Okay, Dayu, are you in?
Yes, sir.
Son? Okay, good. And are we all in? Are we all good? Good, good. All right, let's go. Let's go, ski daddies. Let's start our Kahoot. All right. The sound, we'll figure out the sound next week, but it echoes a bit when we tried that earlier. Okay, let's go. What is the likely supply response to competitive pressures? To enlarge margins. Let me turn off the annotate subtitle. Stop, show subtitle settings, captions, and display size. So, could you turn off subtitles, please? Okay, 19 of you. Excellent. To manage down costs. Absolutely. And I'll do that. Pardon? Subtitles off. See you. Excellent. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go. Let's go on the next one.
Still ongoing.
Pardon?
Your subtitles still there.
Okay. Subtitles off. Turn it off. Hide. Yeah, if it's showing up there, it's not working. I have to stop the recording. Okay.
Is that you?
Ah, yeah.
Can we get this one? Confuse me all.
Okay, let's see if it works again. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me just stop sharing. Stop the recording.